Have you ever felt that quiet confusion when you hear about a virus described as hard to control, and you wonder what that really means for you? One of my patients once shared with me that the most unsettling part was not the virus itself, but the feeling that the information never seemed clear or steady. I want you to imagine this for a moment. You are sitting in a familiar place, looking for understanding that feels calm and respectful, not rushed or alarming. I am Dr. Evelyn Carter, and for many years I have worked closely with older adults who value clarity, routine, and emotional safety. When we hear about Nipah virus and phrases like hard to control, it is easy to assume that danger is close or that something is being missed. That is not why we are here today. We are here to understand, because understanding allows the mind to settle and the body to stay steady. Nipah virus is a rare virus that appears from time to time in medical conversations, often without much explanation. That lack of explanation is what creates worry. In my experience, the concern my patients feel does not come from the virus itself, but from uncertainty. When information feels incomplete, the imagination fills the gaps, and that can be far more distressing than the facts. From a medical perspective, the words hard to control do not mean out of control. They describe how uncommon and unpredictable this virus is, which makes careful study more challenging. Science moves slowly here by design. It is not hesitation, it is responsibility. Aging bodies and aging minds benefit most when information is offered gently and without pressure. I want you to know that learning about Nipah virus is not a signal to change your daily life or disrupt your routine. It is simply a way to stay informed without fear. In the next part, I will help you understand why control is a complex process and why that does not place you at risk. If you value calm explanations and trusted guidance, please consider subscribing to Senior Health Daily, liking this video, and sharing it with someone you care about. This channel is here to support your health with patience, dignity, and reassurance. When people hear the phrase controlling a virus, many imagine a quick response and a clear finish. In my years caring for older adults, I have learned that the human body rarely responds well to anything rushed, and that is especially true for the immune system as we age. Control in medicine is not about speed. It is about balance, observation, and patience. The immune system of an older adult carries a long history. It has responded to infections, healed from injuries, adapted to medications, and learned through decades of living. This history gives it wisdom, but it also means it moves more carefully. When a virus enters the picture, the immune system does not react like a switch turning on. It responds gradually, weighing signals and conserving energy. Scientists must respect this pace if they want to protect older bodies rather than overwhelm them. I often explain this to my patients by comparing the immune system to a thoughtful gatekeeper. In younger years, the gate may open and close quickly. With age, the gatekeeper becomes more cautious. That caution is not weakness, it is protection. When researchers study how to control a virus, they must work with this careful system, not against it. Viruses that are rare or unpredictable add another layer of complexity. Scientists cannot study them daily or observe patterns easily. They must wait, gather information slowly, and confirm what they see over time. This process can feel frustrating from the outside, but from a medical perspective, it is exactly what keeps people safe. Moving too fast risks missing important details, especially details that affect older adults differently. In dementia care, we understand how harmful rushing can be. When instructions come too quickly, confusion grows. When routines change suddenly, distress follows. The same principle applies in public health. Slow, steady progress allows systems to adapt without causing harm. Many seniors worry that slow control means vulnerability. In truth, it means protection is being built carefully. Control does not mean eliminating every unknown. It means managing risk thoughtfully while preserving stability. That stability supports not only physical health, but emotional well-being as well. Understanding this helps reframe what it means when we hear that a virus is hard to control. It does not mean medicine is failing. It means medicine is listening closely to the body and choosing patience over pressure. When we talk about viruses, it is natural to picture the ones we hear about most often. Colds, flu, and other familiar illnesses follow patterns that doctors recognize quickly. They appear regularly, move through communities in predictable ways, and then fade. Nipah virus does not behave like that, and this difference is at the heart of why it is so difficult to manage. Nipah virus is rare. Many doctors will never encounter a single case in their entire careers. Because it appears so infrequently, there is limited opportunity to observe it closely over time. Common viruses teach us through repetition. Nipah virus does not offer that kind of teaching. It appears quietly, disappears for long stretches, and leaves behind only small pieces of information. For science, that makes understanding much slower. Another important difference is instability. Nipah virus does not always act the same way. Its behavior can change depending on where it appears, how exposure happens, and the health of the person affected. This lack of consistency makes it hard to draw clear conclusions. With common viruses, researchers can compare thousands of similar cases. With Nipah virus, each situation can look slightly different, and those differences matter. In my work with older adults, I often explain this by talking about routine. The brain feels safest when life follows familiar rhythms. When something happens rarely and unpredictably, it is harder to prepare for. The same is true in medical research. Scientists rely on steady patterns to build reliable responses. When a virus does not follow those patterns, caution becomes essential. Many people hear the word rare and assume that means dangerous. In reality, rarity often means limited exposure. Nipah virus is not something that circulates freely in daily life. Older adults are not encountering it in ordinary settings. The challenge is not widespread risk, but limited information. This is why Nipah virus is different from the viruses we hear about every season. It does not demand urgent daily action from the public. It requires careful observation from scientists. That careful approach protects people, especially seniors whose bodies and minds benefit from stability. Understanding this difference helps ease concern. Nipah virus is hard to control, not because it is everywhere, but because it is uncommon and unpredictable. Science responds best to patience in situations like this. That patience allows knowledge to grow slowly and safely, honoring both physical health and emotional peace. When scientists evaluate risk, they are not asking how quickly they can act. They are asking how carefully they must proceed. This distinction is especially important for older adults because the human body, particularly an aging one, responds best when it is treated with patience and respect. Risk evaluation in medicine begins with a simple but serious question. Will this action protect the body without placing unnecessary strain on it? For viruses that are rare and unpredictable, that question becomes even more important. Scientists must consider not only whether a method might work, but how it could affect people whose immune systems move more slowly and respond more sensitively. In my years of caring for seniors, I have seen how even small changes can have larger effects. A new medication, a sudden schedule change, or emotional stress can impact sleep, memory, or balance. Scientists think the same way when they study virus control. They observe closely, allow time for patterns to emerge, and wait for the body to show its true response. This process cannot be rushed without consequences. Moving slowly is not a sign of uncertainty or lack of skill. It is a sign of responsibility. Researchers know that once an intervention is released, it affects real lives. They take time to understand long-term effects, not just immediate outcomes. This is how trust is built between science and the people it serves. I often compare this to caregiving in later life. When supporting someone with memory changes or physical fragility, rushing leads to confusion and distress. Slowing down allows dignity to be preserved. Scientists apply the same principle on a larger scale. They move carefully to avoid harm that may not be visible at first. For older adults, this careful pace is reassuring. It means that science is not reacting to pressure or fear. It is listening to the body and honoring its limits. Risk assessment is not about eliminating every unknown. It is about reducing harm while protecting stability. Understanding this helps replace worry with trust. When progress feels slow, it is often because great care is being taken. That care reflects deep respect for the human body and the lives it carries, especially those that have already lived many years and deserve gentle protection. In caring for older adults, especially those living with memory changes, one lesson becomes clear very quickly. The brain needs time. When information arrives too fast or changes too often, the mind can feel overwhelmed, even if the information itself is not threatening. This is something I have witnessed many times in dementia care, and it applies just as much to health news as it does to daily routines. An aging brain processes information differently than it once did. It prefers familiarity, repetition, and gentle pacing. When medical topics are presented with urgency or constant updates, the brain struggles to settle. Confusion grows, anxiety increases, and confidence can quietly fade. I have seen patients become restless or withdrawn simply because they felt they could not keep up with what they were hearing. Routine acts as an anchor. Familiar meals, regular sleep, trusted voices, and predictable days tell the brain that it is safe. This sense of safety supports memory, emotional balance, and overall well-being. When routines are protected, the mind does not need to work as hard to stay oriented. That saved energy can then be used for healing and resilience. When discussing something like Nipah virus, this understanding is essential. Flooding older adults with fast-moving information does not improve health. It often does the opposite. What helps is clear explanation delivered slowly, with reassurance that daily life does not need to change. Seniors benefit most when they know what matters and what does not require immediate attention. In dementia care, we often repeat information gently and allow time for it to settle. We do not rush to correct or overwhelm. Science follows a similar rhythm when it works responsibly. Careful observation and steady communication protect both the body and the mind. By honoring routine and familiarity, we protect emotional safety. This approach preserves dignity and allows older adults to remain confident in their understanding of the world around them. When information is offered with patience, it becomes supportive rather than stressful. That support is a powerful form of care, especially in later life. Many older adults ask a thoughtful and reasonable question. If medicine has advanced so far, why does Nipah virus remain hard to control? The answer lies not in absence of effort, but in the nature of how careful research and monitoring actually happen. Much of the work around Nipah virus takes place quietly. It does not appear on daily news updates because it does not need to. Researchers study patterns over time, waiting patiently for consistent information to emerge. Because Nipah virus appears rarely and unpredictably, scientists cannot observe it continuously. They must gather what information they can, compare it thoughtfully, and confirm their findings before drawing conclusions. This takes time by design. In my clinical experience, I often explain that good monitoring is like attentive caregiving. You do not rush to conclusions based on a single moment. You watch, you listen, and you notice small changes over time. Scientists do the same. They monitor how the virus behaves, where it appears, and how the body responds, all while making sure that any conclusions are dependable. This careful process is especially important for older adults. Aging bodies respond differently to stress, infection, and treatment. Researchers are mindful that decisions made today must be safe for people whose immune systems value balance and steadiness. That means they avoid shortcuts. They choose observation over assumption. Public health systems also play a role that often goes unseen. Hospitals, laboratories, and international health organizations communicate quietly, sharing data and aligning their responses. This coordination allows experts to stay prepared without alarming the public. It is a sign of a functioning system, not a failing one. I have seen how reassurance changes how seniors feel about uncertainty. When people understand that monitoring is ongoing and thoughtful, their anxiety eases. They sleep better. They feel less pressure to constantly check for updates. This emotional calm supports physical health in meaningful ways. Nipah virus remains difficult to control, not because it is spreading unchecked, but because science is taking responsibility seriously. Control in this context means understanding enough to act wisely when action is truly needed. Until then, steady research and quiet monitoring continue, protecting people without disrupting daily life. This approach honors patience and trust. It reflects a deep respect for the human body and for the lives of older adults who deserve protection without unnecessary worry. As we move through this conversation together, I want to pause for a moment and recognize something meaningful. Taking time to understand your health in a calm and thoughtful way is an act of self-care. Many older adults tell me they feel pressured to keep up with fast-moving health information, and that pressure alone can be exhausting. Choosing a slower pace allows the mind to stay clear and the body to remain steady. In my caregiving work, I have seen how understanding builds confidence. When seniors feel informed without being overwhelmed, they make decisions with greater ease. They sleep better. They trust their routines. They feel less pulled by every new headline. This steadiness supports memory, emotional balance, and overall well-being in ways that are often underestimated. Health education works best when it feels like a conversation, not a demand. It should feel as though someone is sitting with you, explaining what matters and what does not need urgent attention. That is the spirit behind Senior Health Daily. This space is meant to offer clarity, without pressure, and reassurance, without fear. I often remind patients that you do not need to absorb everything at once. Understanding grows gradually. Each calm explanation adds a small layer of confidence. Over time, those layers create a sense of trust that protects both mental and physical health. This is especially important as we age, when emotional safety becomes just as important as medical guidance. I'm Dr. Evelyn Carter from Senior Health Daily. If this video has helped you better understand your health, please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing Senior Health Daily. Your support truly encourages us to continue creating calm, helpful, and trustworthy health content made especially for you. Staying connected to reliable sources is one way to protect yourself from unnecessary stress. When information comes from a place of care and patience, it becomes easier to integrate into daily life. You are not expected to worry or act urgently. You are simply invited to understand at your own pace. As we continue, remember that learning about health should never feel heavy. It should feel supportive. By choosing calm guidance and familiar routines, you allow your body and mind to work together more smoothly. That harmony is one of the greatest strengths you can nurture as you move through later life with dignity and confidence. When the word prevention comes up, many older adults immediately wonder what they should change. Should daily habits be adjusted? Should routines be altered? Should there be new rules to follow? I want to gently ease those questions. In the case of Nipah virus, prevention is not about disruption. It is about reassurance and trust. For most seniors, there is no need to change how you live your everyday life. Your familiar routines are not a weakness, they are a strength. Regular meals, steady sleep, gentle movement, and familiar surroundings support the immune system more effectively than sudden changes ever could. The body thrives on consistency, especially as we age. In my years of caregiving, I have seen that the healthiest older adults are often those who protect their routines with care. They wake at similar times. They eat foods they know and enjoy. They move their bodies in ways that feel comfortable. These patterns keep stress low and help the immune system function smoothly. Prevention begins there, not with fear-driven adjustments. It is also important to remember that prevention does not rest solely on individual shoulders. Modern healthcare systems are designed to monitor and respond to rare health concerns quietly and carefully. Public health professionals track patterns, share information, and prepare responses long before action is needed. This work happens in the background so that daily life can continue without interruption. Trust plays a meaningful role here. When you trust that medical systems are doing their work, you free your mind from unnecessary vigilance. That mental ease supports heart health, memory, and emotional balance. Constant alertness does the opposite. It drains energy and creates tension that the body does not need. For older adults, prevention also includes protecting emotional well-being. Limiting exposure to alarming information and choosing calm, reliable sources helps maintain clarity. You do not need to follow every update or headline. Staying informed at a gentle pace is enough. Nothing about Nipah virus requires special daily actions for seniors. There are no new behaviors to adopt and no familiar comforts to give up. Maintaining your current lifestyle with confidence is already supportive of your health. Prevention in this context means allowing life to remain familiar and steady. It means trusting the systems in place and honoring your body's need for calm. By continuing to live as you do, with routine and reassurance, you are already practicing a form of prevention that supports dignity, resilience, and peace of mind. When people hear the phrase emerging virus, it often triggers a sense of urgency. The word emerging can sound as though something is suddenly advancing toward us. Over the years, I have learned that this reaction is understandable, but it is not always necessary. Not every virus that is identified or studied requires an immediate or dramatic response, especially for older adults living steady and familiar lives. Many emerging viruses are labeled that way because science has improved its ability to detect them. Advances in testing and monitoring allow researchers to notice viruses that may have existed quietly for a long time. This does not mean those viruses are new threats. It means medicine is seeing more clearly. For seniors, this distinction is important because clarity reduces unnecessary worry. Some viruses spread easily from person to person and move quickly through communities. Those situations require urgent public health action because daily life is directly affected. Nipah virus does not behave that way. It appears rarely and under specific conditions. It does not circulate widely in everyday environments. Because of this, it is monitored carefully rather than reacted to urgently. I often explain this to patients by comparing it to rare medical conditions. Doctors stay informed and prepared without asking patients to live in constant alert. The goal is readiness, not alarm. Nipah virus fits into this category. It is studied thoughtfully and watched closely, but it does not demand changes to daily routines or heightened vigilance from older adults. For seniors, reacting urgently to every emerging virus would create constant stress. That stress can weaken immunity, disturb sleep, and strain the heart. Calm awareness, on the other hand, allows the body to remain regulated. When a virus does not pose a daily risk, the healthiest response is understanding rather than urgency. Public health systems are designed to make these distinctions. Resources are prioritized based on impact and likelihood. Emerging viruses like Nipah are taken seriously, but they do not replace attention to common health issues that affect older adults every day. This balanced approach protects both physical health and emotional well-being. Understanding how Nipah virus compares to other emerging viruses helps place it in context. It reminds us that awareness does not equal danger, and monitoring does not require fear. By trusting this careful balance, seniors can remain confident and calm, knowing that science is watching responsibly while daily life continues with dignity and peace. As we talk about viruses and control, it is important to pause and look inward for a moment. Emotional health shapes physical health more than many people realize, especially later in life. Prolonged worry does not stay in the mind alone. It quietly moves through the body and influences memory, sleep, and the heart in ways that can feel confusing if we do not name them gently. When concern lingers, the brain remains alert longer than it should. For older adults, this state can interfere with memory. I have seen patients worry that their forgetfulness means something serious is happening, when in truth, their minds are simply tired. Anxiety competes with attention. It makes it harder to store new information and retrieve familiar details. When reassurance replaces worry, clarity often improves without any other change. Sleep is often the first routine to be affected. A worried mind struggles to settle at night. Thoughts circle, the body stays tense, and rest becomes lighter. Over time, poor sleep weakens the immune response and affects mood and balance. Many seniors feel more fatigued during the day, not because of illness, but because their bodies have not been allowed the deep rest they need to restore themselves. The heart is sensitive to emotional strain as well. Long-lasting worry can raise heart rate and blood pressure, placing extra demand on a system that benefits from steady rhythms. For older adults, this ongoing stress can quietly influence cardiovascular health. What I have observed in practice is that when patients feel calm and supported, their breathing slows, their posture softens, and their vital signs often improve. In dementia care, we pay close attention to emotional cues because distress can worsen confusion. The same principle applies to all older adults. When information feels alarming or constant, it can unsettle the nervous system. When information is offered calmly and sparingly, the nervous system relaxes. That relaxation supports memory, sleep, and heart health all at once. Understanding this connection helps place health information in proper perspective. Worry that extends beyond what is relevant does not add protection, it quietly takes it away. Choosing calm understanding is a form of care. It allows the body to return to its natural balance. For seniors, protecting emotional well-being is not optional. It is essential. By reducing unnecessary worry, you support your memory, protect your sleep, and give your heart the steady environment it needs. This kind of care honors both longevity and quality of life, allowing you to move through each day with greater comfort, dignity, and peace. As we bring this deeper discussion together, I want to return to a principle that has guided both my medical practice and my caregiving work for decades. Science works best when it is not pushed by fear. It works best when it is allowed to move with patience, curiosity, and care. This is not a weakness. It is a strength that protects people, especially those whose bodies and minds benefit most from steadiness. In later life, many of us learn that lasting results rarely come from urgency. They come from consistency and trust. The same is true in medicine. When research is rushed, important details can be missed. When fear dictates decisions, outcomes can become unstable. Scientists understand this deeply. That is why careful pacing is built into responsible research and public health work. I have seen the consequences of impatience in clinical settings. When treatments are pushed too quickly, older adults may experience confusion, fatigue, or emotional distress. When care is delivered thoughtfully, the body responds with greater balance. Science follows this same logic. It listens first. It observes over time. It waits for patterns to become clear before acting. With Nipah virus, patience is essential because the information arrives slowly and unevenly. Instead of forcing conclusions, scientists allow understanding to grow naturally. This approach leads to solutions that are safer and more reliable. It also builds trust, which is just as important as any medical outcome. For seniors, this way of working offers reassurance. It means you are not being asked to live in a state of urgency. It means that experts are choosing responsibility over reaction. It means that progress, even when it feels quiet, is still progress. Trusting science also means trusting yourself. It means allowing your routine to remain intact, your mind to stay calm, and your body to move at its own pace. Fear demands immediate answers. Wisdom allows time. Over the years, I have watched patients lead to better healing, clearer thinking, and stronger emotional resilience. Sustainable results are built slowly. They last because they are grounded in understanding rather than pressure. Science, like caregiving, is at its best when it honors the complexity of the human body and the dignity of each life it serves. Holding onto this trust helps protect your peace. It reminds you that careful work is being done on your behalf, and that you do not need to carry that burden yourself. Patience is not passive, it is active care. It creates outcomes that endure and supports a sense of safety that allows you to live fully and confidently, grounded in dignity and calm. As we come to the close of this conversation, I want to thank you for staying with me and for listening so thoughtfully. Taking time to understand your health, especially a topic that can sound complicated, is an act of respect toward yourself. Learning about Nipah virus and why it remains hard to control does not mean that danger is near or that your daily life needs to change. It simply means you chose understanding over confusion. What matters most in later life is stability. Your familiar routines, your steady pace, and the places where you feel safe are powerful protectors of both body and mind. Your body has carried you through many seasons. It knows how to adapt when it is supported by calm, patience, and trust. Modern medicine works quietly alongside that wisdom, guided by careful research and responsibility. You are not expected to carry that work or worry on your own. Knowledge should never feel heavy. It should feel like reassurance. When information is offered gently, it allows the nervous system to relax. Breathing becomes easier. Sleep feels deeper. The heart settles into a steadier rhythm. This is how understanding supports health in ways that go far beyond facts. I hope this conversation reminded you of the strength found in patience and the value of trusting thoughtful science. If there are moments when health information feels overwhelming, know that you can return here. Senior Health Daily is meant to be a calm place, a steady voice, and a reminder that you are not alone in these questions. Thank you for spending this time with me. Take a gentle breath, return to your routine, and carry forward the quiet confidence that comes from understanding. I would be honored to continue walking with you here whenever you need clarity, reassurance, or simply a calm place to listen.